And of course, the Badgers already picked up a win today over Indiana. They're hoping for an Iowa big-time upset to keep their Big Ten championship hopes alive. As that was touched on the Iowa side. Nope, they're going to say no touch and point Hawkeyes. So it should be now 7-4, I believe. As you look at the coaching staff for Nebraska, and John Cook, got a chance to catch up with him yesterday morning, and his big thing, we are focused on winning the next point and just how we get better today. Because of course we pressed him on, NCAA tournament around the corner. What are your thoughts? And not thinking about that just yet.
No, 1 point ahead, and what a great way to keep the Cornhuskers focused is that's all they talk about. The next point, the next opponent.
Buechner off target with the attack. 8-4 now, Nebraska. And serving will be Merritt Beeson, the junior transfer, 2 seasons at Florida, all SEC, all region last year as well. Part of an SEC championship team last year. And has kept that roll going into the Big Ten with Nebraska. Riley, back row, tip there by Murray. Good hang time by Harper Murray to get the one-hand shot over the net.
Well, Harper Murray playing back row, that 6 rotation defense, which is really impressive as a freshman to be playing all 6 rotations, and how much trust John Cook has in Murray.
Another serve here for Beeson, 4-time Big Ten Player of the Week this season. Coming off a 7-kill, 9-dig performance on Friday against Michigan, as that's kept up, and free ball here for the Hawkeyes. Middle tip. And that's a point for Rosa Vesti, a freshman from New Zealand for the Hawkeyes, coming off one of her better games. Tied her career high with 5 blocks at Minnesota on Friday.
And this really just might be what Iowa needs to do. Cause some of that disruption in the middle of the court, tipping, finesse, just to find a way to get a point.
Buechner on the serve now for the Hawkeyes. Batenhorst, cross-court the kill down in front of Darling.
Batenhorst able to recognize that the block is taking everything away down the line and decides to go ahead and go cross just outside of Vesti for the point.
Batenhorst now to the sideline. And Nebraska on the serve with a 5-point advantage here in set 1. Never have lost to this Iowa program. The Huskers are 37-0. They run the slide, but they go back row instead to Beeson. The big run nicely by the Cornhuskers.
Beeson also playing all the way around, 6 rotation player. Just how many weapons Nebraska has at each location.
This is Lainey Choboy, who is serving. John Cook saying about Choboy that she's right behind Lexi, which I take to mean that when Rodriguez's career is done at Nebraska, Lainey Choboy will take over the libero duties, but Choboy already plays a ton as it is as a defensive specialist.
Yeah, and you look at the opponents trying to serve to the back row of Nebraska. Who do you choose? Who are you going to focus on? And a lot of times that goes to the outside hitters just because of the 3. Those other 2 are so strong.
Kaya Mateo is in as the setter for Iowa as they run a 6-2. Murray into the hands of the block. Here's Mateo setting it for McSweeney, who finds the gap next to Lexi Rodriguez. And so McSweeney picks up her second termination. She's 2 for 5.
Well, transition volleyball, that's really important when you're trying to get points. And we see McSweeney splitting the block, going right to the deep corner.
The serve coming short there. Rodriguez able to play it, and then on the right side, Andy Jackson. How about another big-time freshman for the Cornhuskers from Brighton, Colorado? Not only is she 2nd in the Big Ten in hitting percentage, but she's 12th in the country.
Yeah, and she's so fast on that slide, going all the way around the setter, being able to line up and quick arm.
12-7. Kennedy Orr will serve, junior from Eagan, Minnesota. She has 6 aces against 18 service errors on the year. And that'll be a kill for Natalie Moravec, redshirt freshman from Weston, Connecticut. Started her career at BYU, but did not play for the Cougars. And of course, now here with the Hawkeyes.
Well, those first ball kills are really the great opportunities that Iowa can take advantage of. If they can get first ball kills and then work really hard in that transition, the point difference really starts to get closer.
One of the things you notice with Iowa is they lead the Big Ten in team attacks per set, but they're at the bottom in hitting percentage and kills. As flying in from the back row, once again, the back row kill from Merritt Beeson, and she has her second of the afternoon to go along with a couple of digs and a block.
And to your point, Scott, that really just means execution. So the defense of Iowa is able to create all these opportunities, but can they execute at the end so that they have a better hitting percentage?
Bergen Riley back to serve now for the second time through. That goes off the net. Rodriguez gets down there with the right hand to pop it up and then hit over by Murray. Down the line, Moravec coming over. McSweeney taps it back. Harper Murray down the line, and they're calling it out on that far judge. He calls out. And so point Iowa.
Well, look at Iowa and their offense guarding the net. McSweeney turning around, trying to block the ball, creating that disruption. Iowa Hawkeyes working hard right now.
They're swept at Minnesota on Friday. They've been swept at each of their last 6 matches, and before that had a 5-set loss at home against Rutgers. As the Cornhuskers back up by 5, 14-9 here in the first set.
Look at the side out percentage for each team. Nebraska is siding out right now at 77%. Iowa 50%, which actually isn't too bad when you look at side out percentage. It's just that Nebraska is such at a high number right now.
Hit over by Buettner. Riley sets it Beeson into the block, popped up by McSweeney, pushed over by Buettner. They go quick, and for the first time today we call out Becca Alec, the sophomore from Lincoln, Nebraska, all Big Ten second team last year.
Tougher to the Iowa Hawkeyes, and also Iowa working on that defense and controlling their side of the net. The Huskers are going to get their kills. What can they do to control their side?
Rodriguez with the cover there, back row. Harper Murray finds the open space in the back row, and Harper Murray collects her 3rd kill. Murray, Batenhorst, and Beeson all have 3 for Nebraska as they're hitting .429 thus far. Iowa 4 kills, but 4 errors. Served by Murray and goes off the back of the head of her teammate Merritt Beeson, and they might be having a smile and a laugh in that huddle.
Well, depending on how hard that serve was, that could be pretty painful.
That's a good point. You're right. Amanda Darling will serve. Redshirt junior from Oswego, Illinois. Mentioned 2 seasons at Niagara. 32 matches played over her 2 years there. And that's a finish for Allie Batenhorst, her match-high 4th kill now.
Batenhurst getting the kill off of not a perfect pass by Lexi Rodriguez, but that's just how good the setter is for Nebraska and being able to adjust and get the ball to Batenhurst.
Rodriguez now with the serve. Buettner will pick up the kill. First kill today for Caitlin Buettner, who had 7 kills against Minnesota. She reached 1,000 kills for her career back on October the 14th. Of course, played her first 4 seasons at Texas State before coming to Iowa this year. You see some other transfers on this Iowa team, namely from Tulane, where Jim Barnes, of course, was the head coach prior to coming to Iowa. 2016 through 2021 was the head coach at Tulane. Side out Cornhuskers, 18-11 now the score.
The Cornhuskers really showing how focused they are, and every point, every time they've had an opportunity to side out, they really just get it done in that first ball kill.
Side out percentage at 82% now for Nebraska today. Long set by Mateo, and the swing by Buettner.
Well, this is good for the Hawkeyes, getting Caitlin Buettner involved. She goes back to serve now, but this cross-court shot, powerful all the way out to the antenna. Just a whip on the outside.
Mateo, by the way, is a freshman setter from New York City for the Hawkeyes. Bailey Ortega, the starting setter. Free ball here for Iowa. Mateo will set it in the middle for Vesti. Comes back to the Iowa side. Darling, the bump set for Moravec, off target.
Good example there where the Hawkeyes have multiple opportunities. Their defense kept them in, their coverage kept in. It's just that hitting error. But that is a tough task on the outside with the height of the Cornhuskers trying to block. Oftentimes forcing hitters into hitting errors, trying to get a shot or hit high hands, and it goes out.
The 5th attack error for the Hawkeyes. And getting it right back on the right side attack. That's a kill for Anna Davis, redshirt junior, one of those transfers from Tulane. She played 52 matches with Tulane before joining Iowa this season. 19-13 Nebraska here in the first. Riley. And the slide and the kill down the line for Andy Jackson. Big Ten Freshman of the Week last week. She had averaged 2.13 kills, 1.13 blocks, and it's 7-14 in a pair of wins over Northwestern and Illinois.
Well, we heard the arena go, woo, with the power of that hit from Andy Jackson.
Serve receive was Darling. Moravec blocked right back. Middle, McSweeney popped around by the Husker defense. Murray off the hands of the block. Mateo, back set, blocked once again by the Cornhuskers. Rolled over on that shot. Riley trying to dump it on second contact, and McSweeney at 6'7" denied that. Again, getting the hands on the block. So good block touches here by the Hawkeyes. Back row attack, and Buechner. So that's set up nicely by the Iowa block touches and the digs from the Hawkeyes. They are second in the Big Ten in digs per set.
Yeah, the defense creating that opportunity for Caitlin Buechner out of the back row, and just the power swinging high off the hands of the Cornhuskers.
In to serve is Bailey Ortega, the senior setter from Davenport, Iowa, out of Davenport North. This is her 107th career match as a Hawkeye. She's 10th all-time in program history in assists as she reached the 2,000 mark last month as they run the slide for Becca Alec this time. And Alec with the kill. She hit 700 on Friday against Michigan, 331 on the season for the sophomore.
Well, slides are so hard to defend in general just because of the set, and it's moving along, blockers trying to catch up, and then you add Becca Alec out there swinging away with lots of power.
Off 1 foot, that attack from the right side. Nebraska handles it, Murray. Ortega tried to dump it on the second touch. Right side, Beeson. Close at the net, and Moravec able to tool it off the block.
The Hawkeyes defense is what's keeping them in this match so far. They're creating multiple opportunities, and that's often what gets teams these momentum runs, as we see here, Moravec going off of the block of Beeson.
Moravec now back to serve for the Hawkeyes. Riley goes back to Murray into the block of Buechner and McSweeney.
Well, McSweeney standing at 6'7" herself, 6'2" with Buechner, creating a little bit of a wall here on the right side. Great penetration back to Murray.
Each team now has 1 block point in this first set as that goes long for Iowa's first service error. Nebraska has 3 and the only ace thus far today. Six-point advantage for John Cook's club here in this first set. Macy Bosiger has come in for the Cornhuskers. McSweeney, she'll pick up another, her third.
McSweeney's reach when she goes to swing is something to marvel at. Just she does a really nice job, fast arm, and then she moves along the net really well, creating that illusion of where she's going to go.
Started her career at Wake Forest, now in her second year at Iowa, played 2 seasons for the Demon Deacons. They go short on the serve, leads to an overpass, and the finish for Rosa Vesti. So the Hawkeyes are hanging tough right now with the #1 team of the country. The undefeated Cornhuskers at 26-0. We're off to their best start since they went 28-0 back in 2005.
The hardest part in volleyball is defending the serve, as you see Iowa really working hard to try and keep that ball alive.
23-18 now, Nebraska. Look at this highlight first.
Going off high of the hands. Good effort to try and keep it alive.
John Cook telling us there are times, this is a young team. There are no seniors for Nebraska, and at times their age may show in some of the way that they'll play. As that's going to be point Iowa, 23-19. Like Alec was in the net for Nebraska.
Yeah, you bring up a good point when talking to John Cook. He did mention that some nights we look really good and some nights we don't. And half of that is that part of being focused. And the next point.
Murray on the serve receive. Buechner down to play it, and then back row, and that's going to be ruled a tip. Touched off the attack by Moravec, and it's 23-20 here in the first set.
Anytime a hitter is going against a really tall block, you look for those high hands and aim for the end of the arena, and that's how Iowa is able to get the points right now, hitting those high hands.
Out of system here for the Huskers. See if Iowa can take advantage. Buechner, and into the antenna with that. Point Nebraska, now they have set point. Nebraska's led the entire way in the first set, got off to a 3-0 advantage. Led by as many as 7 on a couple of occasions, including 21-14. A nice finish from Iowa.
And the home court advantage does not feel very real right now as Nebraska fans to their feet for match set point here.
Buechner the attack. Riley, the slide, blocked by Buechner along with Vesti. So Iowa fends off set point #1. You're right. Again, I had my head down for a moment looking at my chart, and I'm hearing it, and I'm thinking in my mind, this is we're in Nebraska right now. This is a Nebraska home match. So he's seen a lot from the sideline, and right now has to be pretty happy with the way his team has fought here in the first set, but they still have 3 more set points to deter. Bergen Riley, the slide, and there's the finish. Andy Jackson wins set 1 for the Cornhuskers at 25-21 as Nebraska hits 371 in the first set.
And Andy Jackson is so hard to defend. See the split block. She could have gone line. She could have got in between, and choosing to just put the ball down.
25-21, Nebraska wins the first set. We'll be back with the second set in a moment on Big Ten Plus. Now we're in conference tournaments, conference tournament championship games today. The Big Ten, of course, with no conference tournament. So Nebraska will have the quote-unquote automatic bid to the NCAA tournament as Big Ten champs. Of course, they were going to be automatic anyways, as Natalie Moravec starts off the second set very nicely for Iowa with the ace.
Yeah, and serving is really key for Iowa. If they can cause some type of predictability on where that pass is going and how many options are going to be available up at the net.
Riley, slide, Alec. Darling sends it about 7 rows into the crowd.
Becca Alec along with Andy Jackson is just a really tough duo to be able to defend on the slide attack.
What's scarier, their talent or the fact that they're a sophomore and a freshman?
I think this whole Nebraska team, the fact they're young and no seniors for senior night.
Yeah, they had senior day on Friday with no seniors on the team itself to celebrate. Right side, Beeson. Ortega the set. They run the slide. The tip over by Deary. He was a little bit off balance. How about that set over for Beeson? Bergen Riley showing why she won this job as the setter in the offseason, and Merritt Beeson showing why she's an all-conference player.
Bergen Riley, she was all the way over to the left side of the court, sets it back for the perfect set.
Yeah,
Special player.
Riley had a 9-month battle with her teammate Kennedy Orr in terms of, winning the starting setter position. And John Cook said it was neck and neck for a lot of the time. They had a off-season trip to Brazil where they rotated matches as the setter, and Riley and Orr basically had identical stats, but in the end, Coach Cook just thought that Riley had a little bit more of an edge, a little more consistent tempo, and that's what he wanted for his primary starting setter.
Well, and the choice to go 5-1. That's the other thing. With two great setters, there's always the option to go to 6-2 and what works best for your team, but oftentimes coaches go with the 5-1.
Alec takes advantage of the overpass. She led to the overpass with her initial swing and then gets the second chance to make it 3-2. Nebraska here in set 2. 4 kills now for Alec. Beeson and Batenhorst each have 5. For John Cook's team, Natalie Moravec and Delaney McSweeney, Butner and Vesti all have 3 kills on the Iowa side of the net. Ortega with the back set, and that was into the net for the Hawkeyes on the attack by Deary.
See the Hawkeyes trying to mix their offense up, going to the outside, going to the right side, getting the middles involved, but the passing is going to be key because they have to have good serve receive to be able to keep the middles involved.
And there's Rosa Vesti at the middle. Her 4th kill, true freshman from New Zealand. So 4 kills for her. She's already 1 away from a career high that she had 5 against Rutgers. And that match back on October the 27th.
That middle transition is really important because it really does set the stage on where the block is going to go, whether or not it creates a split block. Keeping the defense focused in the middle.
Down the line, and how about that play? Kaya Mateo with that ball from Batenhorst, and now off of the block, Butner. But give credit to Mateo for keeping that one alive on that initial attack by Allie Batenhorst.
Yeah, great defense. There was a line drive down the line.
Iowa never led in the first set, and there was never even a tie. But here in the second set already, we've been tied 3 times, and Iowa has had the lead. They got the first point of the set as the service error makes it 5-4 Huskers.
Well, that's something that's really impressive about Iowa. You look at, they're going against the #1 team in the country, and the scores and the defense they're playing, and you think they're 0-17 in the conference, but they are playing with a high level of volleyball.
Well, for them, this is their final game at home. They'll finish off next Friday and Saturday playing at Northwestern and then at Wisconsin, another game that you and I will be in attendance for. Jim Barnes trying to rebuild this program as the service error by Butner, 6-5 Nebraska. Last season, Iowa went 10-21, 4-16 in the Big Ten. 11th head coach in program history. There's a look at those final couple of games next Friday and Saturday. And some service troubles going back and forth right now.
Both sides trying to be aggressive with the serving. Iowa, though, it's a little more painful because they've had 2 in a row. And so this third server going back is going to be something that just keep the ball in.
Rosa Vesti with the serve. Batenhorst into the hands of the block. Mateo sets it to the left side. Moravec, and it went off the block and then off of Iowa. And the Cornhuskers back up by a single point. Of course, we referenced it earlier. Nebraska will have that rematch with Wisconsin on Friday on Big Ten Network. A little Black Friday Big Ten volleyball, and then they'll finish off against Minnesota, both games on the road. And again, Wisconsin's watching this and hoping for Iowa to pull off what would probably be one of the biggest upsets in recent memory to keep their hopes alive.
Looking for the rematch.
Right, in the rematch for a Big Ten championship, they would need to win out, and they need Nebraska to lose out for that to happen, but it's still possible, is what the point I'm trying to make. And Iowa hanging tough here in the second, 7-7. Harper Murray blocked. She'll pop it back up high. Riley go back row, and Beeson with the kill.
Mary Beeson out of the back row.
The third time, I believe, now that she's had a kill on this back row attack.
Yeah, and look at this one-on-one. That's a back row attack dream. You'd have no one there to be able, you could pick your corners, and that's exactly what Beeson did.
She's 6 of 10 today with 3 digs and a block. Huskers hitting .356 for the match. 300 here so far in the second set. They're top 10 in the country in hitting percentage as you get a block from Alec and Murray. Third block point today for the Cornhuskers. They average 2.52 blocks per set, which has them top 36 in the country, 4th in the Big Ten.
Well, look at how quick Harper Murray closing the block, setting. Actually, she was setting to the antenna, but they're so quick along the net, moving laterally.
First or second time Nebraska's been up by 2 here in this second set, and now the first time they're up by 3 at 10-7 after winning the first set 25-21. Nebraska finishing undefeated at home in the regular season for the first time since 2017. Of course, they're going to have a few more home games coming up in a couple of weeks. McSweeney down to the floor to get it was Choboy. And too strong for Murray. Nebraska looking towards their coaching staff. They're saying we want a challenge. John Cook picking up John Cook points to about Lexi Rodriguez is the leadership, and especially in dealing with 6 new players on the team this year, as they will keep the call on the floor.
Touches are just one of those hard challenges. Whether or not there was, it just wasn't enough to overrule it.
So it's 10-8. Nebraska with Iowa on the serve. Murray had it blocked. Rodriguez finds it. Riley plays it over to the floor. Darling deflected over. And now Murray. Harper Murray the kill to make it 11-8.
Harper Murray recognizing all the commotion going on the court. She was one-on-one, able to swing cross court and just put an end to the rally.
So Nebraska back on the serve now. Won the first set 25-21. Ortega. Back set to McSweeney. Popped in the air by Riley. Swing by Beeson. Go back row attack with Moravec. Riley will go to Alec with the fastball spike there. Becca Alec.
The amount of power that comes out of Becca Alec in the middle for the transition kill is just unreal.
5th kill. She's hitting .714 today. And from the right side, that'll be a point off the kill for Gabby Deary, freshman from Burlington, Iowa.
And Iowa picking up their side out percentage with this kill from Deary. Coming out the right side, split block from Nebraska.
Yeah, around the midpoint of the first set, Iowa's side out percentage was at 50. It's now up to 62.2%. As that is wide with no Iowa touch, 12-10.
but one thing about Nebraska is they're going to get their kills. They have the offense in that front row. And so for Iowa, it's about that defense and creating multiple opportunities and defending the serve. If you can piece together a couple of points, a lot of things can happen.
Beeson has it blocked. Rodriguez knocking it over and then out of the reach of the hustle of Rodriguez and Murray, but Iowa just a little bit better in that exchange.
Rosa Vesti picking up, tying her career high with 5 kills with that overpass kill.
And she is now 5 for 6 today. And she tied her career high in blocks with 5 on Friday against Minnesota. Beeson blocked. Great play, Choboy. Murray just inside the 10-foot line. Ortega will set it. Buettner. Rodriguez. Murray the tip. Down to get it. Back row attack. Moravec. And maybe out of the reach of Rodriguez. And Iowa with 4 straight points ties this second set at 12 as they're gaining some momentum and getting their fan support a little bit louder inside Extreme Arena.
A great job by the Hawkeyes, mixing up the offense, going to the outside, going to the right side of the net, and then forcing it to the back row. And that's that disruption that really makes it hard for defenses to be able to defend.
Amanda Darling continuing on the serve. Going long with it. So Nebraska maintains the advantage. Back up by a point at 13-12. Jim Barnes brought Baylor to 2 NCAA tournaments, which was the prior stop that he had before Tulane. 11 seasons as the head coach at Baylor, in fact. 1 point Nebraska advantage here in the second set. Buettner going cross court and somehow is able to cut it. I think it landed inside the 10-foot line inbounds on that near side of the court. Another look.
It sure did. And watch the block. How much cross court Buettner had to pull off to be able to get that shot in.
Another tie here. 8th tie of the second set after no ties in the first set. Iowa had the quick 1-0 lead here in this set as well. Beeson into the block. Anna Davis popping it up. Buettner into the net. No touch by Nebraska.
Buettner again trying to find something with that cross-court shot. Nebraska plays defense a little bit inside. Lexi Rodriguez scooting in more towards that middle left front area, giving that cross-court shot. So Buettner sees that, trying to hit it, and it creates the hitting error.
Rodriguez the serve. It gets blocked back to Buettner. They go back set for Anna Davis. Free ball here for the Hawkeyes. Rosa Vesti. Rodriguez will set Batenhorst, and that gets blocked. And the Hawkeyes with their 4th block point, tying us up at 14. So we're either way 1 point away from our mid-set timeout. No, they were without a couple of players that were key parts of their team this season, but like I said, they're hanging tough with Nebraska.
They are, and that's what the hitting percentage right now in set 2 with .048. So Nebraska on top with the hitting percentage, but the defense able to keep Iowa alive.
Rodriguez the dig. Batenhorst over the block. Darling directing it and keeping her team in system. And the back row attack there by Buettner. Murray with the back row attack, and Buettner with a nice defensive play. Moravec off the hands. One of our longest rallies so far today, and that was blocked off the Nebraska slide, and we're tied at 15.
All the digs and transitions leading to the Iowa point. Vesti again, one-on-one, able to take care of the block.
Iowa looking for its first lead since it was 1-0 here in the second set. Vesti the serve. Rodriguez the serve receive. They run the slide and they get the point right back from Merritt Beeson with her 7th termination. They called that prior point. That was into the net, and no block for Vesti. Just to clean up that. So 4 blocks for Iowa, 3 for Nebraska. Moravec. And that went off the block, then the antenna. So Moravec's done that very nicely on the left side against the block. Just taking advantage of those high hands.
And the high hands of Nebraska. When a player is going for those high hands, again, they're swinging to the end of the court, and a lot of times it's hard to control as a blocker.
Service error, though, puts Nebraska back out on top by 1.
You have to look at the service errors and think.
5 apiece.
Yeah, those points, those easy points that were given to the other team.
Both teams have 10 attack errors. Both teams have 5 service errors. Nebraska has the lone block error.
And Nebraska isn't hitting especially well themselves, hitting .065. So you compare the two teams.
0.65 here in the second set for Nebraska as Buechner from the back row. 2:27 for the match. Iowa 0.74 here in the second. 1:47 for the match. Good communication from Iowa on the short serve, and Moravec will rack up her 6th kill. She's had a 20-kill performance this year. Did that against Kent State back in the non-conference season, a 5-set win that the Hawkeyes had that day, and she's had 10 or more 11 times this year.
I see that time. Moravec going to the deep corner, and just too much for the Nebraska defense. But often with the short serve, that's causing disruption. Iowa themselves like serving short.
Back row, Beeson, and a little stumble there. Off balance was Ortega. Back to a 2-point Husker lead on Beeson's 7th kill. Quick look at it.
Back row going off of the block in between. Front row, middle.
That's what threw off Ortega. It's the block touch. Gonna get blocked back was Gabby Deary. Free ball here for the Huskers. Beeson. He's set by Darling. Buechner. Choboy in the back row. Here's Murray off the hands. McSweeney, haven't called her name much here in the second set. Go back row, Moravec out of bounds. And no touch by Nebraska. Point Huskers.
Some of the rallies that have been in this match, so.
And a service error after that challenge does get Nebraska to 20.
And the 6th missed serve for the match with both teams. And those are, that .20 in the game of volleyball is so important. Talking about you want your perfect volleyball after .20.
Harper Murray is serving. 6 rotations as a freshman for the Huskers, and that's a 6th service error for Nebraska. Look at Natalie Moravec, who's got a team-high 7 kills for Iowa.
I was going to say, both sides are being aggressive. You see the serve just barely going out, so they are taking the risk and making the team try and decide whether or not to play that ball.
Kaya Mateo on the Iowa serve. Riley directs it to Batenhorst, has it blocked, and then it gets straight to a spot for the one-hander by Alec.
Alec doing a really nice job.
Jordan Larson. Lindsey Peterson, Director of Operations. (22-19) Nebraska in this second set. And by the way, Jordan Larson still plans to play in the next Olympics, as that is shot long. 22-20.
Looks like we're going to have another challenge here, whether or not that was a touch. Cornhuskers turning to John Cook saying that was a touch off of the top of the net off of Iowa. So all of the challenges so far all traveled to where Vesti was catching up, but the ball had already passed by Vesti.
Looks like a decision is coming now. And the point remains with Iowa. So not enough evidence to overturn the call there. So it remains 22-20 Nebraska. Cornhuskers don't seem too phased by it. But now they have no challenges left unless we get all the way to a fifth set where you do get awarded an extra challenge if you have 0 or 1 going into it. Riley, Beeson, and that will count. 23-20.
Merritt Beeson just being so strong on the right side, being able to power through the Hawkeyes block.
Out of system here. Hasn't happened that often for Iowa. And off 1 foot, shot too far by Merritt Beeson.
Yeah, the serving has been, when it's been in, the serving's been pretty aggressive as far as trying to go for those seam positions, serving in between two people, creating the non-perfect pass.
Excuse me, that was Jackson with the attack error. And that's a kill for Batenhorst. That's her 7th. And Nebraska's up to set point, trying to win back-to-back sets by the same score. They won the first set 25-21, and maybe not exactly what people were expecting coming into this match today. Maybe thinking Nebraska would have a little bit of easier time with Iowa, but now the pro-Nebraska crowd that has inhabited most of Extreme Arena cheering on the Huskers on this set point. Murray, the tip to the floor, went Mateo, rolled over by Moravec. They run the slide, and that wraps up the set. And that is Andy Jackson finishing it off for the Cornhuskers, and back-to-back 25-21 victories for the Huskers here so far. The 5th kill for Andy Jackson, giving 35-28 in favor of the Huskers. And Nebraska will be on the serve to begin the 3rd set. Scott Sudikoff alongside the former four-time All-Conference at Illinois State. I guess you're a former player, but you're forever a 4-time All-Conference. So calling you a former 4-time All-Conference doesn't really make sense, but Iowa for the 2nd straight set takes a 1-0 advantage. McSweeney kind of favoring her right shoulder there. Hopefully that's nothing.
Yeah, it was noticeable after that, though, that she was grabbing her shoulder.
She picked up the kill, her 4th of the day. Alec in the middle, great play to the floor. A combination of Ortega and Darling. Alec tries again, though.
Alec out of the middle. That's where we see all the power coming from with this duo for the Cornhuskers. And Ortega, she has done a really nice job today with her setting and decisions, but just so much power coming from Alec.
Harper Murray on the serve. McSweeney the tip, and the pancake Rodriguez. Batenhorst, high hands, using the block. And then not able to be dug up by Murray.
And the Hawkeyes getting going with Deary on the right side. But notice that, did you see Becca Alex set that ball out of the middle? Just perfect hands, recognizing that Rodriguez was on the floor, getting the pancake up. Alec turning around, setting a beautiful set to the outside.
And they're mopping up where Rodriguez hit the floor a few moments ago. Today playing her 93rd career match. The libero for the Cornhuskers from Sterling, Illinois, a 2-time All-American, someone that you saw play in her high school days.
Yeah, during high school, they were in the state championships, and she, even then, you knew when you saw her, she was going to be a special player.
Buechner goes cross-court off of Rodriguez, and for the first time today, Iowa has a 2-point advantage. What do you like about the game of Caitlin Buechner?
Well, Buettner just has a lot of power on the outside. We saw that cross-court shot. It would be good to see her get a few more of those sharp cross-court, but a lot of that has to do with the blocking in Nebraska and the scheme that they're setting up. But, yeah, Caitlin Buettner has a lot of power.
And now let's see Lexi Rodriguez on the serve, part of her game that has been improving over the season and her career. Darling, the good serve receive. Swing by Buettner leads to an overpass. Vesti battling at the net with Beeson and Jackson. Riley goes to Batenhorst. Set by Ortega, and off the block and out of bounds for the point for Anna Davis. Or check that, Gabby Deary on the right side.
Deary on the right side, tough job with the block. Look how close Nebraska is, and Deary going off of the hands of Jackson, forcing the ball out.
Gabby Deary, the freshman, with her third kill. Natalie Moravec has a team-high 7 for the Hawkeyes. And that's an ace on the board for Iowa for the second time today. Kaya Mateo, true freshman from New York City, picks up her 12th ace of the season.
Well, this float serve dropped way before Nebraska was thinking it was going to with that difficult pass.
Out of system, the Huskers. Batenhorst, no touch at the net, and the Hawkeyes have a 4-point lead in this third set.
That's why those serving errors can be frustrating. Look at how many points Iowa's been able to get from tough serving and creating a predictable pass on where that ball is going to go offensively for the Cornhuskers.
Murray on the serve receive. The back set to Beeson. Side out. John Cook's Cornhuskers down 6-3 here in the third set. 74% side out percentage for the match. Iowa continuing to rise in that category. They're up above 67% now after a very slow start. Nebraska had a 7-point lead in the first set. As that lands on the line, that's an ace. Merritt Beeson with her 26th ace of the season and the second for Nebraska today.
Look at this serve as it looks like it's going to go out and just drops right on the baseline.
In the first set, Nebraska led by 7. It was 21-14 if I remember correctly. Iowa made a nice push late to only lose 25-21 as they lost 25-21 in the second set, and now playing their best so far tonight, have a 7-4 lead in the third. That's Vesti again.
Yeah, Rosa Vesti working really hard to get out to the outside, close the block, and she is the one that takes all that ball and puts it right back into the Cornhusker territory.
Vesti with 4 kills, 4 blocks, couple of digs. Riley, Batenhorst, cross court, there's Darling. Mateo, over to Moravec. From the back row, Beeson off the back set.
Merritt Beeson all over the court. Yeah, she was in the net. Sometimes you can say if it's not interrupting the play, you can be in the net. But in that case, the ball and the play was right there in front of the Cornhuskers.
So that makes it 8-4 Iowa. So Iowa 2 for 2 on its challenges.
Yeah, so now Iowa gets to keep their challenge. So they still have 2 challenges left in this match.
Buettner with the serve. They're on the slide for Andy Jackson, a freshman from Brighton, Colorado, who is 12th in the nation in hitting percentage, showing a bit of the reason why.
What's so impressive between Andy Jackson and Becca Alec is how fast they are off of the set to be able to react. It is impossible for Iowa to stay up with Andy Jackson with so much attention on the outside as well.
Served by Lainey Choboy, and that'll pick up an ace for the Cornhuskers, their third.
Well, this is how quick Nebraska can refocus and get those points back into the match. We see Iowa with the 2-point lead, but just with some tough serving and side out, they're right back into it.
10th ace of the season for Choboy. Mateo setting Moravec. Riley goes to Murray, blocked and out of the reach of the diving Choboy.
Where Rosa Vesti is where the touches have been for Iowa along the net. Good block, setting up, catching the outside. Iowa forcing a timeout by Nebraska.
Timeout, Cornhuskers. You've enjoyed watching her play here today.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of offense by the Cornhuskers, but Amanda Darling just keeping the ball alive.
As Nebraska out of the timeout gets the quick termination, making it 9-7. Darling, 9 digs so far for Iowa.
Yeah, and that leadership in the back row. We talk a lot about Lexi Rodriguez, but Darling has the same effect on the back row, oftentimes creating multiple opportunities for the Hawkeyes in transition.
Andy Jackson with that termination a moment ago for the Cornhuskers. 9-7 Iowa here in the third. Moravec. That's coming. Oh, no. Back to the net. Kept alive. Have to play it over net. Nope, that's 4. Yep. Kennedy Orr did not recognize that was off the net and not off a block touch from Iowa. So 4 contacts and the point for the Hawkeyes.
And Kennedy Orr, we talked about the competition going in between the setters, and this rotation, Kennedy Orr is on the court. That's part of that 12-player rotation, though, that John Cook talked about. 12 players, they all play. They're available, they're playing.
It's a busy day for the University of Iowa. Got wrestling going on at Carver Hawkeye Arena, and then a little bit later on, Caitlin Clark, women's basketball team, be taking on Drake, along with this match going on right now as well. Bergen Riley over to Harper Murray, and Murray with kill number 5 today, but she's had 5 errors, so she's back to 0%. 7 digs added on today.
Well, the fast tempo of Bergen Riley getting that out to Harper Murray, creating that opening in the block just to terminate it.
Serve was by Riley. McSweeney off the hands of the block. Choboy directs it to the net. Got it to Riley. Murray the tip. Now McSweeney. Rodriguez will set Beeson. Buechner back there. Moravec the attack. Back to Murray. Down the middle. And that's another kill for Murray. So now she's up above 0%, making it 10-9.
Well, defending Nebraska makes it hard when you have to put a lot of focus in the middles, but Harper Murray coming into the middle, more of an inside tempo, and just had nobody against her on the outside hit.
Murray, who has made some big-time plays as a freshman. Coach Cook's saying there's still, room for growth, that she has her struggles early on in sets and then becomes the best player in the country once it gets to 20. And she really locks in late in a set. And now the Cornhuskers with 3 straight have tied it up at 10. Nebraska has never led in this third set. It's tied for the second time, building it back up here.
Yeah, and the amount of focus it takes to be a 6-rotation player. You mentioned that serve receive, knowing every time it's probably coming to you, and that focus and transition out to the outside, and then the defensive piece of it.
Bergen Riley to serve. Down for that set was Ortega. Darling will set it here. All the way from Moravec. Rodriguez pops it high. Middle attack. Alec had it blocked by McSweeney. Beeson goes cross court. Darling, the bump set. On the right is Deary for the Hawkeyes. And Murray. Sense that we're talking about her, and she adds another kill.
Some of that perfect volleyball that we normally see around point 20 for Murray. Just the explosiveness. It's too fast and so much power.
Too fast, a little too furious.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nebraska 11-10 lead. Their first lead of the third set. That's 4 straight points for the Cornhuskers. Moravec, no touch at the net by the Nebraska block. That's 5 straight now for Nebraska.
Well, good teams can come back really quickly, and that's probably the focus here with Iowa, which is really interesting because, again, touches are sometimes the hardest thing to be able to see on a replay. And Iowa being able, like you mentioned, 3 for 3 on the challenges.
I'm going to admit, I don't think I've ever seen a team 3 for 3 on challenges. 2 for 2 maybe. Sure, it's happened. As getting side out, Merritt Beeson with her 11th kill. She's the only player on either side in double figures. She's had 8 matches this year where she's had 15 or more, including a career-high 27 that the Huskers had a 5-set win against Penn State this season. One of just a couple matches that have gone 5 for Nebraska. 3 times they've gone 5, 8 times they've gone 4. So that's only 11 matches this year out of 26 that they've gone more than 3. And that landing in for Alec with a big reaction from the partisan Nebraska crowd in Iowa.
Well, most of this rally was handled up at the net, and Alec just going to the side, terminating the ball, defending that net.
High-level volleyball IQ. Becca Alec, in the words of her coach, John Cook. Very impressed with her and how she studies the game. That went off the net, down to the floor. Riley got it. Beeson will set it over to Batenhorst. Free ball coming from Nebraska. Riley, back set, Beeson, and the block by Buechner and McSweeney for the Hawkeyes. Their 8th block. They're doubling up Nebraska in that category.
Blocking was going to be a key if the Hawkeyes were going to take any points away from Nebraska. And they've done a really nice job this afternoon, teaming up, making sure the block is closed. And that was a great example of being able to end the point.
Hitting percentage is now 204 for Nebraska, 149 for Iowa. Iowa this season, opponents hit 248 against them. It's bottom 30 in the country. And right now, Nebraska is only at 204 against them. Batenhorst tip got blocked. They feed her again down the line. Ortega able to angle it over to Darling, who sets it for Buechner. They'll go back to her with the tip over the block. The coverage by Batenhorst. Murray comes flying in for the back row. Tipped back by Alec. Buechner again, changes up the shot again. We saw 3 different shots there from Caitlin Buechner, and the 3rd time's the charm.
And all of those were the trust with the outside. Buechner, transition kill, off the net, dig, back swinging again. And it's just all about the power and being able to stay with it. Stay Iowa with the dig going all the way through. Not much room to go there, but enough for the Hawkeyes.
Tied at 13. Kaya Mateo just checked in as Darling the serve for the Hawkeyes. Rodriguez receiving it, and then the quick from Riley to Alec.
Bergen Riley has really good timing and chemistry with Becca Alec and being able to transition that straight into a kill. Bergen does a really good job of getting situations with her hitters one-on-one.
Riley's been a 4-time setter of the week this season, 2-time freshman of the week, 13th in the nation in assists per set. Beeson into the block, kept alive. Beeson gets a nice swing at it again. Rosa Vesti has it blocked in the middle by the Cornhuskers for their 5th block.
And that was kind of just a tough set. Vesti going against 2 blocks in the middle, nowhere to really go, whether angle or not.
Andy Jackson with her 1st block of the match. Buechner. Back row again, Murray, and that's off the hands of the block for the kill. And Harper Murray is up to 8 kills now and getting that hitting percentage close to 100 with the 5 errors, but also has 9 digs, 1 block, 1 8. They want to see their team celebrate an outright Big Ten championship. Not sure how much they'll actually celebrate, though, just because obviously with the bigger goals in mind. Buettner, the tip down, and out of the reach of Batenhorst. Meanwhile, Iowa, this match may go down as a loss, a sweep right now, 16-14 in the third, so a long way to go. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of positives that the Hawkeyes can take out of this match that they can build upon for the final weekend and into the offseason.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because we talked about at the beginning of this what Iowa needed to do. They needed to win some of those rallies, and you look at the scoring that Iowa's been able to have with the lead changes and the ties, and yeah, I don't think the score is definitely not going to reflect how good of a match this has been.
25-21 each of the first 2 sets for Nebraska. The second set was closer than the first set throughout. And then, of course, in this third set, Iowa had the lead all the way up until Nebraska took the lead for the first time at 11-10. Buettner into the block, and that lands in on the Iowa side. Buettner looked like she wanted to force that off the block out of bounds, but it didn't go the extra few inches necessary.
Yeah, Buettner reaching high, trying to go off the block of Riley, and that ball just landed right in.
18-14 Huskers now in the third. Great serve gets Iowa scrambling. They stayed in system as Mateo was able to set, and there's a kill on the left side by Batenhorst. So sure, Iowa may have been in system, but they were scrambling to get that attack, and then Batenhorst and Nebraska make it 19-14.
Yeah, and the rallies and the defense that the Cornhuskers are able to piece together, it's the in transition dig. They're still getting perfect digs to Riley to be able to transition. That's really what stands apart.
And a go big red chant going on inside the arena. And somebody was in the net. It was Iowa.
Well, we might have another challenge here.
Well, for the time being, net violation Iowa, 20-14 Nebraska. Iowa is 3 for 3 on their challenges. Now they've all been block touch challenges. This would be different. So Vesti, they won't. It stays with Nebraska.
Celebrating.
I haven't seen a celebration for a challenge going a team's way quite like that. I guess they've realized they've had 3 prior Iowa challenges that went against them, and the 2 that they had. So there were 5 challenges in this match before that all went against Nebraska. So that's why they celebrated. And they got one. And getting one on the pancake, Rodriguez. Batenhorst will pick up another kill. 9th for Allie Batenhorst, the junior from Houston.
Lexi Rodriguez starting that play with the pancake dig, perfectly set for Riley, and then, yeah, the big swing on the outside by Batenhorst.
And Nebraska 4 points away from officially claiming an outright Big Ten championship for the first time in 7 years. Off the net and over. And Vesti into the block. Jackson and Riley.
Andy Jackson's really quick with her feet in the middle, going for the slide this time, using her feet to catch up to the block, team up with Riley.
(22-14) Nebraska in the third. Beeson with that serve, back row attack by Moravec. Rodriguez to the floor, they run the slide. Jackson into the block. Darling, the long bump set to Buettner. They go to Harper Murray from the back row. And Nebraska has run the BIC very, very well here today.
Yeah, that back row attack is something to watch. Watch Murray coming out there just right over the block, not prepared with the Iowa, and how fast Murray can hit that ball.
The offense spread out for the Cornhuskers. 12 kills for Beeson, 9 each for Alec, Batenhorst, and Murray. Jackson also has 7. That accounts for all 46 Nebraska kills today as Iowa gets side out at 23-15.
That was an important stop for the Hawkeyes. The run that was continuing with Nebraska, and it's been pretty tight with the defense working to get a point.
Buechner's serve is wide, and now Nebraska has Big Ten championship points. The crowd knows it. Laney Choboy to serve. And for the first time since 2016, the Nebraska Cornhuskers are the outright Big Ten champions.
चल के बा बंदे के
भोला समिति से भमिया तोहार सिर्फ संडे के बुझो जी अब करे हमारे इंतजार दिसन संडे के सुन दिन तो ठंडे के समिति से भमिया तोहार सिर्फ संडे के अब
रिकॉर्डिंग स्टूडियो सिमरा।